My sister, Vivian, couldn't stand anything about me. Everything I had, she would find a way to take. The night before my wedding, she successfully slept together with my fiancé. My mother was so angry she had a heart attack and was dying in the operating room. When I was alone and helpless, my childhood friend, Julian Sterling, traveled a long distance. He arranged for top doctors for my mother and personally cared for her at her bedside. My mother intended to entrust me to him, but Julian Sterling just smiled and brushed it off. Later, he knelt at her grave to propose to me, swearing he would never leave me. I accepted his proposal, and less than a month after we were married, I became pregnant. But before giving birth, I accidentally overheard his conversation with a doctor. "Julian, you're taking Eleanor's baby's umbilical cord blood to save Vivian's son. Have you thought about what Eleanor would do if the truth came out? After all, Vivian caused her mother's death. I don't care about any of that. I'd do anything for Vivian. It's just umbilical cord blood. Even if it costs her baby's life, I wouldn't hesitate. I've spent the rest of my life atoning for it. She should be grateful." My heart turned to ash. So-called happiness, it turned out, was a lie from beginning to end. Inside the room, their conversation was like bone-chilling ice in winter, instantly extinguishing all my joy. No wonder Julian Sterling was so insistent every night right after we got married, never stopping for a moment. I thought he was eager to have a child. But I never expected he'd hit me with such a shock. Across from him, his childhood friend and Dr. Michael, spoke with reluctance. "Aren't you going too far? Vivian never firmly chose you. Look at what you're doing for her, hurting your own wife. Is it really worth it?" Julian Sterling frowned, put out his cigarette, and raised his voice. "Shut up. She's not my wife. Worth it or not, even if Vivian wanted my life, I'd clean the knife myself and hand it to her. Keep this quiet for me. Don't let the secret out. If Eleanor finds out, she definitely won't agree." Footsteps drew closer. Supporting my 7 months pregnant belly, I fled back home, my eyes red-rimmed. Even though the heater was on full blast in the room, I was trembling all over with cold. He knew perfectly well that Vivian was responsible for my mother's death. That she deliberately flaunted how easily she stole my happiness in front of my mother, just so her own mother could take her place. When my mother was critically ill, my father dismissed her as bad luck and ordered us kicked out, making us a laughingstock. I wondered why Julian Sterling had adamantly refused before, only to propose after my mother died. I just thought he pitied me. I never imagined it was to pave the way for Vivian's son using my baby. And to think I cherished this hard-won happiness, holding it in my hands, terrified it would slip away. It was all wishful thinking. The doorbell rang. Julian Sterling was back. He smiled, came forward and wrapped his arms around me. His gentle breathing near my ear. I recoiled, trying to escape. He paused, then smiled, cupping my face in his hands and waving the air around me. "I knew I couldn't hide it from you. You always know, don't you? Okay, I promise I will never smoke again, not just for my wife, but for the baby inside too." Seeing I didn't smile, he raised and lowered 3 fingers, then kissed my earlobe pleadingly. His actions were as usual, gentle and tender, as if afraid to damage a treasure in his hands. But all I felt was the biting cold piercing me to the bone from his embrace. Soon, he fell quietly asleep beside me. Julian Sterling's phone flickered a few times. I never used to look at his phone. He had strictly warned me that love meant giving each other personal space. Through tear-blurred eyes, the phone rang insistently. Afraid of waking the sleeping Julian Sterling, I impulsively grabbed it, went to the restroom, and answered. Vivian's sweet voice came through. "Julian, what's going on? Why aren't you replying to my messages? Ethan and I miss you so much. Hello? Why aren't you saying anything? Did you take care of the umbilical cord blood?" My voice trembling, I spoke. "Vivian, you're dreaming. I'll never let you succeed." There was a pause, then she sneered. "Dreaming? Eleanor, I always get what I want. You know that, don't you? Have you forgotten how your mother died?" Clutching my belly, I screamed into the phone, breaking down. shut up. You don't deserve to speak her name, my mother. I'll kill you. In the conversation, Vivian's laughter grew louder and louder, openly mocking my powerlessness. My eyes red, I picked up the phone and smashed it to pieces. Julian Sterling was woken by the noise. He rushed over, picked up the shattered phone, and frantically checked the photos behind the case. It was Vivian, photos of her from different times. And Julian Sterling loved to point the camera at her. Every frown, every smile of Vivian, every strand of her hair shone brightly through his lens. He tenderly wiped the photos again and again. In the pictures was the woman he couldn't touch, his beloved. I felt as if I'd been doused with cold water, chilled to the bone. As if just realizing what had happened, Julian Sterling stepped forward, tightly held my hand, and carefully examined the injuries on my palm. I kept backing away, struggling to shake off his hand. Julian Sterling, stop pretending. I know everything. His hand froze in midair. Ellie, listen to me. I can explain. All right then, explain. His mouth opened, then closed. In the end, he said nothing. I gave a self-mocking laugh, stripping away his pretense. Julian Sterling, what can you explain? You've treated me like a joke from the beginning, and our baby like a joke. His voice seemed to carry sadness. Vivian's son is sick and needs umbilical cord blood. And? Eleanor, just help her out. She can't handle any more stress. If her son doesn't get treatment, she'll go crazy. I can't stand to see her upset. Tears streamed from my eyes, and I broke down. So that's it? You'll use my baby's umbilical cord blood? You're forcing me to save the child of my enemy? Vivian caused my mother's death. He impatiently cut me off. Vivian said she had her reasons for what happened back then. Stop bringing it up. Who hasn't made mistakes when they were young? I couldn't believe it. He expected me to be magnanimous enough to forgive the one responsible for my mother's death, and a simple she had her reasons was supposed to sweep it all away. What about me? Was I just supposed to lose my mother? Who will pity me? His expression was cold. Enough, Eleanor. Shut up. Stop talking about what happened back then. His assistant rushed in, panicked. Mr. Sterling, something's wrong. Vivian is suddenly distraught, crying and threatening to kill herself. She keeps muttering about how she harmed her mother and sister, and wants to go down and apologize to her mother. Before the assistant finished, he anxiously stood up and walked out, not sparing me another glance. After he left, I gasped, desperately trying to breathe fresh air. He didn't come home that night, and I didn't sleep at all. I locked myself in the room, thinking back on every moment with Julian Sterling over the years, letting the tears fall. Actually, I was the one who met Julian Sterling first. Julian Sterling's mother and my mother were close friends. I saw him for the first time when I was 5, in the height of summer. He sat quietly beside Mrs. Sterling, not saying a word. Vivian's brother, Daniel, jokingly pushed his head under the water. They often played roughly like that, picking on the younger kids. But unlike the others, Julian Sterling was stubborn. He fought back with all his might and ended up passing out in the water. Everyone was terrified. Summoning courage from somewhere, I dove in and pulled him out. When he woke up, he only knew that a daughter from the Shin family had saved him. Vivian stepped forward, and that was the end of it. I stood in the corner, not daring to speak up and contradict. I knew if I exposed the truth, my father would lose face and lock me away in that dark, sunless confinement room. From then on, Vivian had a devoted follower, and Julian Sterling seemed to enjoy it. My eyes were so dry I couldn't shed another tear. I decided I had to escape. I booked a plane ticket on my phone and drafted a divorce agreement. If he loved her so deeply, then I would let him have her. But to make me save the child of my enemy? Sorry, I couldn't do it. That night, I gathered everything he had given me over the past 3 years, along with all those unsigned letters, and tossed them into the burn barrel. Watching the fierce flames engulf the box, Vivian suddenly appeared before me. She kicked the box away. Sparks flew onto her dress, but she didn't seem to feel the pain, raising a wide smile. Eleanor, after all these years, you're still just as useless. Trying to run? No way. You couldn't protect your mother 5 years ago, and you won't be able to protect the bastard in your belly 5 years from now. Rage consumed me. I rushed forward and slapped her hard. But the triumphant look in her eyes was more brilliant than the flames. Eleanor, have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me? Before I could react, she deliberately fell straight towards the fire. A figure rushed out from behind, pushed me aside, and ran straight towards the burned barrel. Vivian cried, sobbing into his chest. He held her in his arms, his gaze at me filled with hatred. Eleanor, haven't you caused enough trouble? Are you insane? Vivian was just worried about you. She even had a fever but insisted I come see you for your sake. Is this how you treat her? If I hadn't come, would you have killed her? His eyes were bloodshot. The last trace of love vanished from his gaze towards me. From when he pushed me just now, my stomach was aching. Enduring the pain, I sneered, Julian Sterling, I don't care if you want to play the hero, but she insisted on mentioning my mother, on shoving a rag in my mouth to sicken me. I couldn't stand it. You have no right to forgive anyone on my behalf for what happened back then. He frowned, saying nothing, but Vivian spoke up, tearfully sobbing, Sister, it's my fault, I deserve to die, but don't blame Julian. He loves you. Don't make it hard for him. It was my own stubbornness back then. I was drugged by someone named Lee and got pregnant. Sister wasn't trying to steal your boyfriend on purpose. Even if you hit or scold me today, I won't complain at all. Still crying, she struggled towards me, then with a thud, knelt straight down in front of me, desperately slapping her own face. My stomach aching, I frowned, but I still had to endure her performance. I deserve to die. Since you hate me so much, sister, I'll just go die. Julian, let's not contact each other anymore. I don't want you to be torn. I coldly snapped, get away from me. How many years have you been using this act? I'm sick of it. If you really want to die, then go ahead. I picked up the glass shards on the floor and threw them at her. She flinched in surprise, then picked up a piece of glass and viciously slashed her own palm. Blood dripped down. I shook my head. Too bad. The neck would have been better. Julian Sterling tenderly held her hand and raged. Eleanor, how vicious you are. Apologize to Vivian right now. Ignoring his words, I gathered my last bit of strength to call 911, but he snatched the phone and smashed it violently onto the floor. The pain was so bad I could barely speak. Julian Sterling, my stomach hurts. Take me to the hospital. A hint of panic flashed in Julian Sterling's eyes. He started to step forward, but Vivian stopped him. She said dismissively, Eleanor, you're quite the actress. It's a shame you're not on stage. How could something like that happen so conveniently? You just can't stand seeing Julian care about me. Julian Sterling's expression darkened. All hope died in me. I pinned my last hope on the phone by her feet. I struggled to reach for it, but she stomped down hard on the back of my hand. I cried out in pain and agony. Seeing this, Vivian fainted. Julian Sterling didn't even spare me a glance. He picked up Vivian and headed into the car. Watching their retreating figures, I knew it was over between Julian Sterling and me. I don't know how I got to the hospital. All I know is when I woke up, a nurse was giving me an 4. Miss Eleanor, the baby was startled and almost didn't make it. You're due in 2 months, so you need to be very careful now. The doctor is prescribing medication to stabilize the pregnancy. You can wait here. I nodded, but then I grabbed the nurse's hand. Did Julian Sterling bring me here? Where is he? Forgive me, my mind still held a glimmer of hope for that person. The nurse chuckled. Miss Eleanor, are you kidding me? Julian Sterling is indeed at the hospital, but I heard Mrs. Sterling scratched her hand. To ensure his wife wasn't disturbed, he cleared out all the VIP rooms. I heard Mrs. Sterling is also a shin, but some people are just born under different stars. You should focus on keeping your pregnancy safe, Ms. Eleanor. My fingernails dug into my palms. Tears streamed down. For some reason, I went up to the VIP rooms. The door wasn't closed tightly. On the hospital bed, Vivian kissed Julian Sterling, who was keying her in, as if giving him a reward. Julian Sterling's ears quickly turned red. As if she noticed me, her eyes held their usual triumphant look. Following her gaze, Julian Sterling glanced towards the doorway. Vivian laughed sweetly, turned his head, and kissed his lips. Clutching the doorframe, I fled down the stairs. My legs felt weak. I stumbled, about to fall to the ground, when a strong pair of hands steadied me. Julian Sterling's face was terrifyingly cold. "Eleanor, look at you. You're pregnant with my child, and you're already hooking up with someone else." I trembled with anger. "What about you? Haven't you been involved with Vivian all along?" He suddenly grabbed my arm and cupped my face, forcing me to look him in the eye. "Listen, Eleanor. Settle down. You belong to Julian Sterling. You'll never get away from me in this life." Trembling, I slapped him hard across the face. "Divorce. I don't want to see you again." He reeled from the blow, but then smiled, grabbing my hand and hitting his own face with it, again and again, the sound echoing in the hospital room. "Is that enough, Eleanor? Are you satisfied?" Vivian cried as she opened the door. Julian Sterling let go of my hand and looked at her, frowning. "Julian, Ethan, he can't hold on." She crawled to my side and kowtowed to me. "Eleanor, it's all my fault, every single bit of it. Please, have mercy on my child." Instinctively, I clutched my belly and took a step back. A nurse came with medication, calling my name. "Miss Eleanor, the medication to stabilize the pregnancy is ready. It's time to take it." Trembling, I picked up the medication. As I brought it to my lips, Julian Sterling knocked it to the floor. His eyes red, he scooped me up in his arms. "Eleanor, don't worry. I promise you and the baby will be safe. Once this is over, I'll take care of you forever." The last thread in my heart snapped. I struggled desperately, biting down hard on the back of his hand. "Julian Sterling, put me down. You bastard. Julian Sterling, please let me go. Please let me go. Julian Sterling, I'll hate you forever." I closed my eyes in despair, watching the doctor inject the anesthetic. The anesthetic took effect, but my heart still felt like it was being twisted by a knife. In my haze of pain, I saw a familiar figure whispering to the doctor for a while. It was that same look of triumph in her eyes. When I woke up again, I heard Julian Sterling flying into a rage. "Idiots! You said you could guarantee mother and baby would be safe? What happened?" Mr. Sterling, Miss Eleanor was very agitated. She wouldn't relax during the surgery, which caused severe bleeding. "We couldn't save the baby this time. Although she's been harmed, with proper care, she still has a chance to get pregnant again." Looking at my empty abdomen, my grief and despair broke like a dam. The pain from the wound intensified, and blood flowed with my tears. Julian Sterling's eyes were red-rimmed. He held me in his arms, trying to soothe me. "Ellie, I'm sorry. I never expected this to happen. The doctor said there's still a chance. If you want a child, I'll bring in the best doctors to help you recover. We can still have children." I smiled and shook my head in his embrace. As I smiled, tears fell onto his arm. He panicked, rushing to kiss the tears from the corners of my eyes. "It's okay. Even if we don't have children, I'll take care of you forever." "No, you won't. Julian Sterling, we won't have any more children. Julian Sterling, we won't have a future." He stiffened, then lowered his head to wipe the bloodstains from my body. He stayed by my bedside while I slept, checking my temperature every so often. I spoke quietly. "Julian Sterling, did her baby survive?" The hand holding mine trembled. "He survived. If you don't want him, I can talk to Vivian. Where is my baby's body? I want to see him." Vivian's son survived, but my baby would never get the chance to come into this world. Julian Sterling gently wiped away my tears. I turned my head away. "I've already had him properly buried. After you recover from childbirth, I'll take you to see him." I smiled weakly. The next morning, Julian Sterling took a call and rushed out. The nurse said there was a postpartum recovery treatment she wanted me to do. Although I hesitated, I went along with it. Vivian's familiar voice sounded from behind me. My dear sister, how does it feel to miscarry? I told you to be obedient. Maybe if I were in a good mood, I might have spared the bastard in your belly. I turned to face Vivian's triumphant eyes. She said nonchalantly, actually, I did it on purpose that day. I had already found more suitable umbilical cord blood for Ethan's illness, but I deliberately said he was critically ill. I just wanted you to see who Julian Sterling would choose when it really mattered. My dear sister, look. You picked up my discarded trash and treated it like a treasure. Too bad, in the end, it caused so many deaths. Vivian tilted her head, observing my expression, trying to provoke me, hoping to see pain and despair on my face. But I just smiled calmly and pressed closer. Your mother was a mistress, and so are you. Like mother, like daughter. Too bad, no matter how you pushed him, he wouldn't leave me. He's so attentive to me now, you must be jealous, right? I should thank you, actually. You stole my fiancé the night before the wedding. And that useless man saw you gave birth to a sickly child and ran away. Isn't that funny? Were you a good enough mistress? Her eyes were red, but I deliberately hid a nerve. Just as expected, the moment the stairwell door opened, Vivian completely lost it. A force came from in front of me, and I fell straight down the stairs. I raised a smile. Vivian, have you thought about how you're going to apologize to me? Julian Sterling suddenly pushed Vivian away and grabbed the broken me. Seeing the bloodstains on my abdomen, he shouted at Vivian, What are you doing? She just miscarried. Why would you push her? Vivian put on that pitiful appearance, pulling his sleeve. Julian, listen to me. She deliberately provoked me, that's why this time, Julian Sterling violently shook her off, his gaze icy. No matter how wrong she was, you shouldn't have pushed her. Let go. Oh, my dear sister, tears won't save you this time. He rushed me to the hospital room, immediately summoned top doctors from overseas for a consultation, and stayed by my bedside, unwilling to leave even a step. His phone notification sound rang abruptly. Seeing wedding date with Vivian on the screen, he hurriedly turned off the screen. I lowered my eyes. It's okay. Our marriage back then wasn't originally something you wanted. Let's get a divorce when I get out of the hospital. A hint of panic flashed in his eyes. He held my hand. No. Since I married you, I will take responsibility for you. Those were just youthful follies, they don't count. In front of me, he deleted all those photo albums about Vivian. But before, I had accidentally touched them and he gave me the silent treatment for 3 days. The day I was discharged, while Julian Sterling was getting me something to eat, Vivian slipped in. The jealousy and hate in her eyes threatened to drown me. You manipulative bitch. You dared to set me up last time and made Julian Sterling distance himself from me. You must be smug, right? I smiled faintly. What are you talking about? Shouldn't my husband feel bad for me? Hit a nerve, she suddenly pointed at me. How dare you say that? You must have manipulated him. Why else would he have cancelled the wedding and be distancing himself from me? I instinctively glanced at the hidden camera and said plaintively, Vivian, spare me. I don't want to leave Julian. You know I can't live without him. She suddenly rushed up and slapped me. Stop pretending. I'll give you 10 million to leave him. I'll find you a good place to settle down for the rest of your life. After all, you don't want there to be no heir for the Sterling family, do you? Wiping my tears, I probed, if I refuse, will you do to me what you did to the baby in my belly? She paused, clearly not understanding why I had blurted out this sentence unexpectedly. She grabbed my chin and threatened me. If you don't listen, I'll send you to meet that bastard sooner. In the last second of the surveillance footage, Vivian dragged me out the door. She acted quickly, took my phone, and put me on a plane. Julian Sterling, carrying the thermos, went crazy when he saw the empty hospital room. Where is she? Where did Eleanor go? Mr. Sterling, your wife left. She left a divorce agreement before she went. He was frantically dialing my number. After hearing the phone was turned off, his face was dark and terrifying. Everything was fine last night. She seemed to be in better spirits recently. Why would she just leave? A figure appeared in the doorway. Julian Sterling rushed up and held the person tightly in his arms, refusing to let go. He heard Vivian's voice from his chest. Julian, you're hurting me. Julian Sterling froze. After seeing it wasn't the person he expected, he was extremely anxious, and suddenly let go. Why is it you? Where is Eleanor? Seeing his unspoken resistance, Vivian's resentment towards her grew even stronger. He cared about her so much, it was the first time he had treated her like this. Perhaps she has someone else in her heart. That's why she left you. If she's gone, let her be gone. Don't you still have me? She gently leaned her head on his chest. Unexpectedly, this remark angered him. He violently pushed her away and smashed the thermos in his hand onto the floor. Impossible, Eleanor isn't like that. Find her, find her. Inside the hospital room, the doctors and the director were restless. A living person had just disappeared from the hospital. The assistant was trembling, and the hospital surveillance system had been hacked, making it impossible to find anything. Vivian sighed in relief. Julian Sterling was flying into a rage in the hospital room, but looking up, he discovered the hidden camera. Vivian hurriedly stopped him and gave the doctor a look. Julian, let the professionals handle this. Sit down and wait. Julian Sterling gave them a cold glance, then personally opened the video. His eyes were bloodshot. Vivian inwardly cursed. She hadn't expected to fall into Eleanor's trap. She put on tears, sobbing and pulling on Julian Sterling. Julian, listen to me, it's not what you saw. That bitch Eleanor set me up. These videos are AI generated. She's just using your pity to sabotage our relationship. She's sowing discord. He looked at her face twisted with hatred. He couldn't help but think of Eleanor's always cheerful eyes and eyebrows. His heart filled with unstoppable sadness. Guilt was overwhelming him. He suddenly grabbed Vivian by the neck and raged. Eleanor said the baby? What did you do to our baby? Tell me. Seeing Vivian's face turn purple, a doctor knelt trembling on the ground. Mr. Sterling, I was wrong. Vivian threatened me with money to interfere with the surgery and make sure the baby didn't survive. I wasn't thinking straight. Please, spare my life. The cruel truth was suffocating Julian Sterling. He angrily pointed at Vivian, demanding why she treated their baby like that. Vivian completely dropped her facade and sneered. Did I kill her baby? Julian Sterling, you are the one who killed her baby. If you hadn't personally carried her into the operating room, could I have done it so easily? Now you're trying to be the good guy? I'm telling why. Oh, it's too late. Ha 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 ha, the baby is dead. Eleanor will never forgive you. Julian Sterling felt his heart being torn apart. He couldn't believe that I, Eleanor, who loved him deeply, would leave him so easily. Impossible. Find out where this lunatic sent my wife. Find her. Vivian looked at him as if he were a monster. Finally, she pulled hard on Julian Sterling's tie, pulling him closer. Julian Sterling, she's not coming back. You and I can be together forever now. When you were 18, you said in your letters you'd marry no one but me. Have you forgotten? Julian Sterling pushed her away in disgust. The thing I regret most in my life is meeting you, and hurting my wife Eleanor again and again because of you. Julian, you're just pathetic. Actually, the person you always loved was Eleanor, you just never dared to admit it. You personally tore Eleanor's heart out piece by piece. It's too late now. Eleanor won't come back to you. Julian, we're two of a kind. Let's go to hell together. Hatred consumed the man's eyes. He choked her tightly, trying to silence this madwoman. When she was close to death, a doctor rushed up, separated them, and strongly held Julian Sterling back. Mr. Sterling, don't be impulsive. If she dies, no one will ever find your wife. Your wife's contact information and social media accounts are all deactivated. We only found that Vivian took her to Australia. We couldn't find anything else. Keep investigating. Use any means necessary to make Vivian talk. Julian Sterling anxiously smoked cigarette after cigarette. He returned to the mansion without its mistress. Everything in the mansion was as it was, just missing the girl who used to lie on the sofa smiling and watching shows. He collapsed onto the sofa. A deep sense of powerlessness overwhelmed him. His gaze suddenly fell upon the pile of yellow letter paper he hadn't had time to burn. He opened it with trembling hands. Written in youthful handwriting, it detailed the moments between a girl and a boy, from middle school to studying abroad. Every word, every sentence full of genuine emotion. Always started with "Dear little Jules," always signed Shin. It never said if it was Vivian or Eleanor. He used to suspect whether the writer was really Vivian. Her behavior in person was very different from the chattiness in the letters. But every time Vivian would just laugh it off. In person, unlike in the letters, she would always get shy when she saw his face. So he stopped doubting. Later, in his letters, Julian Sterling excitedly wrote about his moments with Vivian, swearing he would give Vivian a lavish wedding and marry her by the time he was 22. The letter only replied with the word okay. That year, at 22, the Sterling family in the city successfully married a daughter of the Shin family. It was just Eleanor. Just me. Only today did he suddenly realize that the person he had always loved was the Shin in the letters, and Eleanor outside the letters. Julian Sterling closed his eyes in pain. Her wide smile flashed in his mind, and the way she twisted in pain because of his ridiculous promises. Guilt and pain mixed with intense love bound him tightly, making it hard to breathe. He had so foolishly hurt the woman who loved him. He and her baby were just gone. Another 3 months passed. No matter how severely Julian Sterling interrogated Vivian, she adamantly refused to reveal Eleanor's whereabouts, screaming that since she couldn't have happiness, everyone else had to suffer with her. Until Julian Sterling hung her son upside down from a tree in front of her and whipped him severely, only then did she talk. After getting the address, Julian Sterling was impatient to go to Eleanor's location. Before leaving, he also donated most of his family fortune to charity, as an act of penance for the lost child. 10 hours later, Julian Sterling appeared at my door, his face full of exhaustion. He raised his hand, then lowered it, never finding the courage to knock. It was raining outside, but he stubbornly stood outside in the rain. I rushed out in a panic to save the laundry I had hung out to dry, but ran right into him. I froze for a moment, then took large strides past him. He reached out and grabbed my sleeve. "Ellie, are you still angry with me? It was my poor judgment. I made you suffer so much. Can you? His voice was filled with regret. I coldly interrupted him. No. No matter what you say, that's my only answer. The sound of the thunderstorm drowned out his slightly trembling voice. I don't know what he said after that. I locked the door from the inside and slept soundly. The next morning, I thought he was gone, but I saw him collapsed on the steps. I felt his forehead. He had a high fever. Acting out of a sense of duty, I took him to the hospital and then turned to leave. But he grabbed my sleeve tightly. Julian Sterling's haggard face showed a plea I had never seen before. "Ellie, I know I failed you. Even if I die, I can't make up for a single bit of the pain I caused you. I always thought the person I loved was Vivian. Only after you left did I realize how foolish I was, so foolish I couldn't tell who I truly loved. I regret everything I did to you. It's all too late. If you're willing, I can give you my life. Do with me what you will. Please don't leave me. Please don't abandon me. Please let me stay by your side and take care of you for the rest of my life, okay?" I burst out laughing and pushed his hand away. "Why are you offering such useless things? Your life isn't worth much money. I don't care for useless things," I said jokingly. "Would you be willing to go keep my poor baby company?" Julian Sterling's eyes turned red. He suddenly grabbed the fruit knife from the table and tried to stab himself in the neck. He froze for a moment, then struggled to grab my hand. "I can leave you all of the Sterling family's fortune. Name anything you want. I can do it. I raised my hand and slapped him, looking at Julian Sterling. My voice was calm, without any fluctuation. Julian Sterling, I don't want you to die. This slap settles things between us. You have no right to ask me to stay by your side, and I will never forgive you. Nor do I have the right to forgive you on behalf of my poor child. I only hate myself for falling in love with you. The light in Julian Sterling's eyes slowly dimmed. Looking at his look of pain, I even felt a slight sense of vindication. Forgive me, I can't be magnanimous. A smile appeared on my face, just like when I was 18. Little Jules, do you remember when I called you that? I saw you for the first time when I was 5. I was the one who saved you. I was the first one to fall in love with you. But you only fell in love with Vivian. He choked up, unable to speak. His eyes looking at me were full of pain. You don't know how happy I was when you proposed. The boy I had a crush on for 15 years actually proposed to me. Unfortunately, it seems we were never meant to be. That day, you told the doctor that as long as Vivian's baby could be saved, you didn't care if it meant sacrificing the life of the baby in my belly. His hot tears dripped onto my palm. Julian, your wish came true. What more could you want? Looking at him so guilty he could barely breathe, the pain in my heart gradually lessened. Why should the one who caused pain live in peace? I just want him to regret it until he dies, unable to sleep at night. After some time, Julian Sterling raised those dim, lifeless eyes. Eleanor, I know some mistakes can't be fixed with amends. I was terribly wrong. I won't bother you again. I hope you'll always be as carefree and joyful as you were at 18. I watched him stagger away calmly. Julian Sterling, you're wrong again. I wasn't happy when I was 18. Seeing you and Vivian grow closer, my heart ached so much I couldn't sleep. A secret crush is a lonely battle. 2 months later, I was teaching a handicraft class to children at a charity when news from back home quickly topped the headlines. Sterling family CEO commits suicide by jumping into the sea after being heartbroken. He reportedly also brutally killed Vivian Shin before he died. His family fortune was all left to his ex-wife. I stopped short, looked down and opened my mobile banking app. That long string of numbers was quite a shock to me. His last post on Twitter read, "This is the last thing I can do for you. I hope you find happiness again. May we never meet again in this life. It's all over." I reviewed the entanglement of love and hate between us. I replied to his last tweet. My hate endures. May we never meet again.